It's always up to you guys.
So you're live.
We are live.
We are live. Okay.
Talk about
Conversation about that. I don't know. I don't see me. Oh, yeah. Just so you know.
Three minutes.
3 minutes.
I thought you were getting ready to say Dougie Fresh here morning.
Oh, no. Well, anytime I hear somebody do that, unfortunately, I have a little bit of a flashback. Being on the aircraft, getting ready to exit. Call the time out.
And so we will call them and then.
What?
Party's supposed to be starting.
It's a season, isn't it?
Oh.
I'll be right back.
Do we have one? Because I don't see any.
Kenny's back there. You might want to
Oh,
get
yeah.
rid of all. You know when Kenny get going.
Oh, yeah. I have to walk off.
Exactly.
Everybody getting the sign.
He said,
You got it.
I got quiet.
And what is your job exactly?
Send the market, that's a compliment? Another compliment, send the market?
Action stuff that-
Just like- All right, let's roll.
Is it coming up? Well, we got lost. Good work behind that.
Christine, how close are we to forum? I'm always across the room.
Yes, you were over here.
Don't we have that class? Hey, sucker.
Perfect timing. How are you?
Two more. How are you? How's everybody?
Great, you have to be pretty and pink.
Well, down a little, okay. All right, I'm gonna call the 7:30 meeting to order. PRTC is live streaming the meeting on PRTC's YouTube channel. This information was on PRTC's website, Facebook page, and at both facilities. Commissioners Elizabeth Guzman and Todd Horsley have asked to participate remotely in this meeting. Commissioner Guzman, please state the reason for your remote participation and the location you are participating from. Okay, hey, Commissioner Guzman, I think I heard you talking, but can I pause you for 1 second? We're having some technical difficulties, and we'll be right back, okay? Commissioner Horsley, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, we can hear you very well. So can you state your reason for remote participation and the location you're participating from?
Sure. I am recovering from a bout of COVID, and I am coming to you from my home in Arlington.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that. And happy to hear that you're recovering well. Commissioner Guzman, can we hear you? Can you speak up?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Well, I am right now in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm the Vice President of the National Hispanic Caucus of the State Legislators, and we're here in a conference. So I'm not in Virginia, and that's why I'm participating in that.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. All right, so I need a motion. We have a motion to approve both commissioners' request to participate remotely. Second. All right. So we will take,
Whatever you want.
okay,
Kelly Short. Motion by Kelly, second by Short.
okay. And. Oh,
We haven't actually done roll call yet,
ah,
so I guess, is it okay to call
Add
the
them.
roll first? Okay. Victor Angry,
here,
Andrea Bailey, Kenny Bodie,
Here.
Margaret Franklin, Janine Lawson. Here. Lee Vega.
Here.
Dee Hamlin, Maggie Hansford, Kawhi Kandasamy, Karen Mills, Kim Short. Here. Ann Wheeler, Tanisha Allen. Here. Monica Gary, Meg Bunkey, Pamela Young, Pamela Saveski,
Here.
Ralph Smith, Jeanette Rischel. Here. Alana Mensing, Daryl Moore, Matthew Kelly.
Here.
Jason Graham, Deborah Frazier. Here. Lori Hayes, Tim McLaughlin, David Ross, Jennifer DeBrule, Todd Horsley,
Here.
Grant Sparks, Elizabeth Guzman,
Here.
and George Parker.
here.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum. And now I will go through and if we will call the question on the remote participation. Victor Angry.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Janine Lawson. Lee Vega.
Aye.
Karen Mills. Kim Short. Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Pamela Saveski.
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel.
Yes.
Matthew Kelly.
Aye.
Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman, can you say that again?
Yes. Yes.
And George Parker. Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, our flag is located in the back of the room. We can stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Wait. Here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All right. Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Bodie, motion second. Call the roll.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Janine Lawson. Lee Vega.
Aye.
Karen Mills. Tim Short. Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Pamela Saveski.
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel.
Yes.
Matthew Kelly.
Aye.
Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yes.
And George Parker. Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I get a motion to approve the commissioner meeting minutes on November 3rd, 2022?
So moved.
Second. Got a motion, proper second. Please call.
That was Kelly Bodie.
Yes, Kelly Bodie again.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Janine Lawson. Abstain. Lee Vega.
Aye.
Karen Mills. Kim Short. Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Pamela Saveski.
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel.
Yes.
Matthew Kelly.
Aye.
Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yes.
George Parker. Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, and Mr. Dalton, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'll report that the CEO report, you have a lot of things in your packet there, but I'll be concise. I did have a I did prepare a more extensive briefing, but as it relates to the potential freight rail strike, but as of a couple hours ago, the U.S. Senate did vote, similar to the U.S. House. So the president just needs to sign it, and we've apparently averted that rail strike. So I'll just leave it at that. So that's good news. And that cut off about 4 minutes of my report. So, because we do have some action items here, Mr. Chairman. So if you want to take those in a block, did you want to do
Yes.
those in a block?
Yes, sir. We'll roll those up into.
So Mr. Chairman, what I'll do is I'll just step through each one of them, brief summary, and then if there's any questions at the end or something like that, we'll try that. So 6.2, this is seeking authorization or the commission's acceptance of the Virginia Railway Express fiscal year 2022 audited financial statements and the auditor's report. Again, you have this in your packet. Just want to simply state that the FY 2022 audit was completed by the auditing firm PB Mayers, and they've issued an unmodified opinion. And of course, the unmodified opinion is the best outcome of a financial audit. Moving on to 6.3. This is to seek an approval of by the commissions to approve a boundary line adjustment deed and plat for conveyance of property to the commissions from Manassas Park, again, to the commissions. And simply, in your package, you have a plat, there's some diagrams and stuff in there, but just simply what this is obviously the VRE and the city of Manassas Park, we're doing a joint, parking garage project. And there's elements which will end up being permanent fixtures of the infrastructure that would land on city-owned property. And we had previously talked about doing just a simple, nothing simple, but an easement. But it was later agreed that the city would just convey the property. It's about 8,000 square feet in total. But the city would just convey that to the commissions. And so this action would make that happen. That's 6.3. And then 6.4, this is approval of the 2023 VRE legislative agenda. Just real quick, the VRE Operations Board Legislative Committee met in September. And then we provided the Operations Board with an information item on the results of that committee in November. That information item came to the commission, so that was part of your package as well. The Operations Board then at their November meeting unanimously approved the legislative agenda, and that just simply gives myself and our team guidance on pursuing the various legislative topics and goals. And that's my summary for the action items, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna roll those 3 action items into one motion. Okay.
Second.
We've got a motion, Commissioner Franklin, second, Sylvester. Any discussion?
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I watched.
As habit, sorry. Mr. Chairman, as somebody who sat on the VRE audit committee, I can report to you that the audit was crystal clean. And I commend Mark and his staff again for a clean audit. And I want to say something else. Anyway, I sit on the ops board, so I'm going to abstain since you lumped all this in. Just out of full disclosure, I think I'll just abstain so it doesn't look like I'm trying to push one thing over another because of the legislative agenda. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that pitch in about audit.
Any more discussion? Okay. Any discussion online? Okay, just call the roll, ma'am.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Janine Lawson.
Abstain.
Yesley Vega.
Same.
And Kim Short. Tanisha Allen.
Yes.
Pamela Sadowski.
Yes.
Jeanette Richel.
Yes.
Matthew Kelly.
Yes.
Deborah Frazier.
Yes.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yes.
And George Parker.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, that motion is approved.
Thank you, ma'am.
That is the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, thank you very much. Mr. Scott. Outstanding.
It was a pleasure. Everybody be safe.
All right, happy
Have a
holidays.
good holiday.
Yeah, happy holidays.
He's got to get up to, we got to get to Arlen. We got to do this again in hours. So, back on the road.
Thanks again.
All right. And next, we're gonna have the commission, the PRTC audit. So Mr. Farnsworth, come on, sir, we'll let you come on up to the podium here.
So thank you all. First off, I would like to thank Rob and his staff. Joyce has, helps out a lot with the audit and her finance team. So it's always great to work with her and she's always prepared for us. So it makes our job a lot easier. So we just met with the executive committee and went over the financials in a little bit more detail. So I'll just kind of be briefer here. There's 3 opinions that we issue on the financial statements. The first one is opinion on the financial statements as a whole, and that was unmodified, which is a clean opinion. We had no issues there. It's the highest level of opinion we can issue. We have another opinion related to the government auditing standards for internal controls and compliance, and we had no issues there either, no findings or anything. And then the other opinion is related to the federal compliance part of the audit that we have to do. And that was also unmodified. So everything was clean. This year there was a new accounting standard that was difficult to implement, and PRTC staff did a great job at being prepared for that. Not all entities were prepared. So definitely kudos on the team for being ready for that. Some key financial highlights I was just going to go over briefly. The net position for PRTC decreased about 6.5 million. The pension liability decreased 1.5 million, resulting in a pension asset. So the pension plan is well funded. Unrestricted net position was 19.2 million, and that's the amount that's available funds for PRTC's operations. Restricted net position was 19.6 million. And this amount is restricted for use by the participating jurisdictions. And then net investment in capital assets was 78.4 million, which is PRTC's investment in equipment, buses, land, and buildings, and things like that. So that is everything I wanted to go over with you all. Unless there's any questions, thank you all for having me here.
All right, so do we have, first of all, before we get into that, so I do have an action item here to approve the financial audit report there.
So move second.
Okay, got a motion. Ms. Mitchell, the second by. Yes, now sound like Chair Wheeler.
Mitchell and Allen.
And Allen, yes, ma'am. Any discussion? No discussion. Please call for the vote, ma'am.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Janine Lawson. Yesley Vega.
Aye.
Kim Short. Tanisha Allen.
Yes.
Pamela Sadowski.
Aye.
Jeanette Richel.
Yes.
Matthew Kelly.
Yes.
Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yes. Yes.
And George Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion is approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Fonzo, you've been doing this now for 8 years, you said?
8 years I've been working with PRTC's audit
And BRE?
and DRE.
Yeah, so thank you very much for
Yes.
all you do, and it's been perfect, so thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
You too.
Have safe.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're moving into public comment time. What we'll start first with is in-person public comment time. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. We're gonna watch that 3 minutes to speak. No, and then after your speak, if there's anybody, any letters or any online, we'll go from there. Ma'am?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am Felicia Webb, and I'm just coming to get some answers somehow about the decision that was made to stop the runs and to DC. Right when it seems like more employees are going back to work, traffic is picking up. I've rode the bus several times and it was packed. So I just learned a couple of days ago that took place, and I'm just trying to get some answers on how long does that plan to be like that? What happens if the subway at the Pentagon gets shut down or something? What should we expect?
So, and ma'am, I'll just chime in. So on public comment time, we give you 3 minutes to speak, but it's really not a kind of discussion window, but what will happen with it? Because this is a ongoing kind of issue. So Mr. Bob Snyder here, you want to come in?
If you'll hang out for the next item, I think you'll have all your questions answered.
Okay.
Sounds great.
And it's a PowerPoint and everything.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And
Thank you.
then even after that, if you still
We'll answer
want to, I'm
questions.
gonna have you one-on-one with Mr. Snyder, so he can give
Okay.
you really in-depth detail, since you came out here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, all right. On my phone.
Job.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so can I get a motion on consent agenda? Oh, so I got it. Okay. Commissioner Allen, who's second?
Kelly.
Okay. Commissioner Kelly, any discussion? Oh, call for the vote.
Victor Angry,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin, Janine Johnson, Leslie Vega, Kim Short, Tanisha Allen.
Yeah.
Pamela Sadowski,
Yes.
Jeanette Richel,
Yes.
Matthew Kelly,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Yes.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the consent agenda is approved.
All right, on to executive director time. Mr. Snyder, sir, the floor is yours.
Yes, we've got a PowerPoint to go over for the service and ridership update. So if we can go ahead and get that loaded, Carl. So I'm going to give you a brief history. You've heard for months, Barbara's come into the commission meeting, talked about the impact of hiring, the challenge and the shortfall. Well, I'm going to give an overview. Next slide. I'm not going to read all these words, but this way you've got follow-up. It's a companion piece that we're going to send out to you. So in 2 weeks, if you need to answer a question, you've got something to refer back to. We have a national workforce shortage. This is not just us, but in areas like DC, San Francisco, Boston, where you have multiple providers, we're competing with the same workforce. It's not like Kansas City, where it's one entity for the entire metro region. They're just competing with school bus, Amazon. By the way, Amazon's across the street. So is Able Moving Company. So we're all competing for the same resources. The other thing that is happening right now that we've experienced with, and it's very different from what we saw even 2 years ago, traditional attrition from a new hire to graduation behind the wheel was only 15-20%, which meant 80 to 85% of employees that got hired graduated to service. And then they stayed with us. Right now, we're experiencing less, right around 50%. Right now, it's less than 50% of new hires make it from there to service on the street. That means you have to hire 100 people to get 50, or you have to hire 50 to get 125. Never mind normal attrition. Never mind people who become a road supervisor because we've grown service, or someone's relocated or just retired. We are right now 120, or we are 25 operators short from what we need to deliver service on a daily basis. We're 25 down. So next slide. Over summer, we would just it would just be, okay, a driver left. We have another one in the pipeline. We'll suspend that trip temporarily to get by. And then when the new driver came in, plug the hole. That was the philosophy, plug the hole. But when you think about that attrition rate, it wasn't keeping up. We weren't able to handle that, and then it got compounded because passengers would be affected every single day. So by fall 22, it just became a spread the pain issue. If you remember 3 or 4 months ago, a gentleman came to public hearing and said, hey, I'm getting stranded at night. That was the issue. His trip was one of those that was consistently getting impacted. And if the driver didn't call in sick after him, he was trapped in DC, or something like that would happen. So we tried to be a little bit more randomized, but it created confusion and a lot of problems. And on November 17th, which was 1 week before Thanksgiving, we hit a breaking point. We had about 40 missed trips. We've never had that. That is what would happen if a blizzard fell, right? Or we had a mass collision on the interstate that kept us from delivering service. We had a bus deliver passengers to the wrong parking lot, right? Not mad at the driver. It was a miscommunication from the dispatcher. They thought they knew they thought they understood the run, but we had a challenge and it became a real issue. So the decision was made that night by the ops team. We need to suspend service into the DC region past the Pentagon. So all service into DC would be normal, except it would get to the Pentagon and then the drivers would return back. It kept them back on schedule and improved their frequency. DC is a tremendous time resource. Obviously, we travel through the traffic, but we're much faster on 66, especially with the hot lanes open. We're much faster on 95. So it allowed us to keep that frequency going. Now, service to Haymarket, it's not into DC. We were able to continue that. Mark Center, we could still serve Stafford County. So those are the things of why the Pentagon, that's where we fell back to when the trucker convoy attempted to gridlock DC. That is where we fell back to after the January 6th riots. It's where we fell back to anytime there's been an incident or resource. Summer 2022 or 2020, we spent weeks serving the Pentagon because we couldn't get into DC. We have a supervisor there on site. So it's someone who can look and direct traffic and say, okay, we just had 2 Manassas vehicles roll through. It needs to be this instead. It's weather protected. It's getting darker, so there's lighting. We have security there. It's a lot more resources. And there is access to the blue line as well as the yellow line shuttle. Because right now, Metro has the yellow line closed. So that's why we took that approach. For how long? Right now, it's a week-by-week decision. So the original move was just to get through Thanksgiving. We met with the operations team, and with the number of new hires and where they were in the training cycle, I then made the decision we're going to go week by week, because what has happened is we found that we were pulling road supervisors to go drive a bus, and then we're pulling in the trainers to backfill them. So we had trainees not getting trained. What do we need? We need trainees getting trained. So we needed to get an operational foothold. So that's what this is, and we're in a week-by-week decision. Right now, as of Thursday night, we intend to continue this operating model next week. That is where we sit tonight. We're going to get an operational assessment tomorrow. We're getting 2 a week, plus we have a full-blown hour-and-a-half Wednesday analysis of what we can do. We have to do communications. We have to get websites ready, all that activity. And we've prioritized routes to stand them up one by one. Our goal is to not go back to the chaos of summer, to go back to the randomness of fall, or to go back to another breaking point. We have a foothold and we have stability. Now let's let those operators get through, and you'll see it's on here. There's about 30 in the pipeline right now being trained, and Keolis is continuing to hire more. This isn't a scenario where they haven't been active. They've had job fairs, they hire on the spot. We talked to you for months. If you know anybody, we're pushing in the community. We are actively trying to hire operators. So what we'll do is we'll stand up routes one by one. Why can't we fix this tomorrow? Well, why was it a breaking point? Holidays. We jumped to 8 operators per week for vacation, which is the #1 demanded period for vacations. I think that's a universal acknowledgement in this room. Those were picked back in January, December of last year, right? A year ago is when those vacations were set. And we're all seeing COVID frequently in the news. It's on the front page of the paper. Fairfax Hospital's overtaken, and the RSV virus is hitting pretty hard in the schools. We have employees that have young children, and they're fine, but their children are sick. So they're out for that. So what we're seeking is different ways. We're examining attendance incentives such that we can make it easier for those who may need to hire a babysitter at home. Maybe we can help offset some of those costs and still let them get into the office. Or maybe you've got someone who it's their week of vacation and they're not going anywhere after all. There's an incentive to possibly come in, and we're examining those options. We've leaned on Keolis for that. They've got systems around the country that are doing this. So we're meeting tomorrow to discuss what we can deliver and approve that really helps get that reliability back by December 12th. And we'll hopefully, as I say here, with midweek relief possible. So we hope to stand routes up a lot sooner. The goal is not to keep doing this till the end of time. That's probably what you want to hear. As soon as we have a workforce, we'll get them stood up. And what we're doing is we're focusing on our 2 biggest lots, Horner Road on I-95 and University on I-66, because at least you can get there. If you're in Montclair, you can, it may be inconvenient, but you can drive to Horner Road, Lake Ridge, Horner Road, we've got that option, and we'll get our passengers into DC. That's not our permanent goal. This was something to get us stabilized and back on our feet. As quickly as we can get this going, I want to be clear, we have new micro transit operations in Manassas Park. We'll free up some additional CDL operators. We're going to restore as much service as possible, as quickly as possible. Next slide. So a couple of key customer complaints that I want you to hear that we've heard. You know, we don't want to ride Metro. We get it. But what if the blue line breaks down, or what if there's an issue? Plus the yellow line isn't running. So we've asked for feedback from passengers. Do we need to trip chain in with Pentagon City? I won't drag you into the weeds. We'll talk afterward to find out what your needs are, and maybe we can figure something out. Some of the customers have said, okay, we reduced fare. They said reduced fare, we don't care. We're already getting our money from the feds. There's not a savings to us. It's about time. What we figured out is that if we're missing these trips, they're standing on a street corner in DC for 20 to 40 minutes. That is the approximate travel time from the Navy Yard with transfers across the blue line and all the way through. So it's a comparable time. It's just not a one seat comparable time. So that's one of the challenges there. We do have the new route to Reston. Makes sense. Are you people crazy? You're not even getting service into DC, but you're starting up a new route. The employees are being trained on that already. We can't train them on the comprehensive other services when the goal is to get them up and ready for that. Suggestions from passengers: mostly take service away from someone else. So that has been, Stafford was early. They can drive up to Prince William County. People in Prince William don't ride the bus on Sunday. We know that's not true. Don't start up Reston. Again, it's a different garage. So you can't get employees to drive from Manassas to Woodbridge and Woodbridge to Manassas back and forth. And we'll just do every other trip. That's not feasible either, because it may start as the Pentagon, but then it turns into Haymarket, and then it goes to back into Ballston, and then it comes back in Deadheads and Parks. But now the driver's stranded in Manassas when they started the trip in Woodbridge. So there, it's not, seems as a common word. It seems it should be easy, but logistically for cost savings, and also, to be fair, the drivers have the right to pick their work. Just like the passengers don't like being assigned to the Pentagon, those drivers don't want to be assigned to a run that they aren't trained for and prepared. It's much easier to drive on I-66 in those beautiful wide lanes, much easier than the headache of DC. And so we have to balance all of those things. What is our current status? Bottom line right there, I think, is the most important thing. We have 30 operators in various forms of training. How many started this week? 13?
Yeah, I think we have 13.
13 started 4 days ago.
Right.
Now, if they have a CDL, awesome. Then it's more about getting them used to the Keolis way, getting them route training. But what we're doing something different is we're hiring people who don't have a CDL. So we have to train them to drive that 45-foot motor coach, and that takes longer. So that's the trade-off of that. Otherwise, we're fishing in a very small pool. Instead, we're taking our nets and boats to the ocean. We can capture, a lot more opportunity. It's bluer water to fish, and that's what we're trying to focus on there. But we're responding kindly and honestly to customers. Customers are mad. We understand. We're not saying, hey, be patient. They've been patient with suspending a trip every 5 days a week. They've been suspended with good luck. Are you going to get to work early, on time, or late?
Or maybe not.
Yeah, we'll get you there, but we may not get you home till when you were planning. So we're doing that. We're having twice weekly ops updates. Those ops updates are really about how's the attrition rate, what feedback here are we hearing, are there minor adjustments we can do, and then we have our midweek, what's service going to look like next week, because we want to be able to overpromise, or I always get that wrong, underpromise, overdeliver. That's the goal.
Are you worried that these people are going to walk, that if you're going to get them a CDL license and they're going to walk away?
They technically could, absolutely. However, and they do, however, being a better employer will make the difference. And that's the key. Are we the quality employer? Are we providing the resources, the benefits, and other things? Sure, head up to Fairfax. drive through Fairfax, or you can hang out here and drive in these nice wide I-66 lanes that give you protected resources all the way until you get to the east line. It becomes a much, much easier driving experience. So those are the things we're selling. And we're also looking at the reality of we can recruit out of places like Culpeper now. So there's Warrenton. So there's an increased recruiting pool for employment. So that's the focus. I'm sure we didn't answer your specific questions, but we will.
You want to hang around for questions and comments right now. I just want to start it, then I'm going to get you, Commissioner. I want to start it by, and then you, Commissioner Short. I want to start it by saying, you know, we could have seen this, actually, we all have seen this and projected it since 2020. You know, let's not forget, for one entire year, we shut down the world, right? And then after that, come out of it, people's lives changed and jobs changed and folks started doing different things. And so we have not yet gotten back into any kind of a battle rhythm or routine, if you will, that really makes a lot of sense. And so now we're literally just in the bus system, we're talking there, not even police, fire, schools, any of the other stuff that's going on in the world, trying to now hire drivers. Before, when it was a CDL, you could easily get a driver with a CDL, show him a route, train him up, and he's on the street. Now we got to get folks that probably, you know, were a school teacher or were something else and teach them how to drive a bus, get a CDL, and then go through this route process. So we got a lot going on. And I always talk about the fact that we just have to weather the storm. Not to ask our customers to deal with it or hold on, but to really try for us to figure it out. I think what would work best is how we communicate it here. We got to make sure we're getting that out in the streets ahead of time so that they can at least know it's coming and feel a little comfortable. But I'll stop there. Commissioner Allen, I'm gonna jump in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'll just briefly say a comment and then I have a suggestion. I mean, this is indicative, as you said, of our changing workforce. As a nurse, I'm, you know, we just found, like, I just found out that 68% of new nurses survive. So it's even worse for nursing. That's 60% within the first year of quitting. So as a country, we seriously have a workforce issue. But as it relates to the bus, and this may be a suggestion that between Bob and Keolis, Germanna Community College has reached out to me about working with them to try to get a CDL program started. But right now, the issue we've run into is trying to secure a parking lot space for them to train their students. So if there's some type of suggestion that someone can, you know, that you guys are willing to help. Yeah, if you guys are willing to, you know, help with trying to find a space, you know, just let me know. I can facilitate that. But I've been trying to find them a lot to be able to train students who are going to be CDL drivers. So that's the opportunity that people can utilize.
So my question was more about the attrition rate. What appears to be the top issues causing it to be so low, but from when they start training to get on the streets? What's causing it?
Learning the routes, very complicated. And if you've never been a bus driver, you have to learn several different routes. That has been the biggest complaint.
I'll say this, we are hearing and seeing from peers, we picked up on this in SHRM meetings, et cetera. We've even had it where people aren't showing up for their interviews. I don't know if anyone else here is a hiring manager, but you have the date on the calendar and the person decides not to even show up. You get ghosted at the interview. Yeah. Or they do the interview and they ghost you on the hiring day. And I know Keolis has experienced that. So it's communicate on Friday, we'll see you, right? And then on Monday, they never show up and you communicate, there's no response. Other times they have 3 job offers. We recently lost an employee on the PRTC side. He had been here, I think, 3 weeks. And he's like, yeah, I'm out. I've got another job closer to home. Thank you. Okay. That's our modern employment market, is that there's so much demand out there. I think it was Phil who's describing it. He heard what we're missing 3.5 million people out of the workforce compared to pre-pandemic. So 3.5 million people are not actively in the workforce, which is about 1% of the US population.
And those positions in the service industry, as Tanisha said, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, April end. They're leaving, if they do go in, they're leaving in droves.
And other areas don't drug test. So that's also.
All those areas.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Do you mind repeating that? 'Cause we'll have
She
a
said,
record.
she said the other areas that Commissioner Spassky said don't drug test.
Or they do drug
I mean, they
tests.
do drug tests, I'm sorry. Yeah.
They do drug tests, there's a drug testing service industry. So, teachers, firefighters, police officers, all of us that are in these fields. And it's been hard anyway, the last few years. It was hard before the last 2.5 years, but it's been even harder and you can't, Commissioner Allen said, I mean, people come in, they work a year, and they're like, I don't know why I'm doing this when I can go get a job that I'm not gonna get abused and get paid better to do it. And so it's very hard, the service industry, all of these positions that aren't being filled are mostly in our service industry areas. And so I have, 50% a lot, but I'm not surprised. They have opportunity. Gonna go where they don't have to necessarily get abused.
Yeah, so I actually got a couple of concerns about the routes and some questions, and I think Dr. Schneider reached out. I think I've tried to do the best I could to explain kind of the situation. And I think Dr. Schneider also kind of laid it out. I'm just wondering, is that presentation something that we can send out to our constituents that are asking, maybe to clean it up a little bit, or, but if we can send something out to kind of answer some of those questions, to where people may not have to come all the way out here, but, I think giving some glimpse of what some alternatives could look like and what the future could hold in terms of returning to those routes. I know it can be important. I used to take the Pentagon route going into DC, and depending on where you're going in DC, it can be good or it can be not so convenient. So I think as quickly as we can try and return to some of those routes would be great. But the reality is we have been dealing with some of these challenges. So I can definitely appreciate that. I just ask that everybody just try and be as patient as possible. But we all need to make sure that we're working to get back to those regular routes.
And along those lines, I think the most important thing is communicating this. And we've done okay, but not great. Because what we thought was going to happen was, we'll just get through Thanksgiving. But once we saw that we actually get some training done, and we still don't have the workforce and the instability, our customer service team on the phone were getting their teeth kicked in. And understandably, frustration. What we talked about yesterday was when we have the operators, getting them on the road. So that's why we're standing routes up one by one. And to me, that will be the demonstration of success, not just sitting and waiting until a day on the calendar, but once we have resources, standing that route up. It might mean Horner Road happens before University does. We're not going to hold back the western half of the county because we got the eastern side ready first, or vice versa. Whatever route we're able to get reliably and successfully, we'll go. And we'll communicate that as soon as we're able.
And I also say at least one of my constituents had some ideas on, what they thought could work as well. And so, maybe we can also just kind of listen to some of the constituents to see if they had any different ideas based on their ridership experiences. So.
And I will say, I think messaging is huge and important. Like, there has to be this point that says, like the red flag that says, right now, our OmniRide PRTC bus system, we're experiencing some turbulence. So that passengers are aware of this. Like you just said, now we have a window that we know we're going to continue this until we get out of this window. You know that now, but how do we get to your point, Commissioner Franklin, some information out to each of us so that we can start getting that information out to everybody else? Can I get Commissioner Bodie first?
Sure.
And then you? Okay.
Appreciate it. And I was just wanted to highlight that communication piece of it, because I had constituents that reached out to me. I sent one to Dr. Schneider where, there was the initial frustration of, hey, my route's gone. It was like, hey, this happened in a 24-hour period. I couldn't make plans of how I was going to get into work or back from work once I was there. Because that came a couple months ago. Same thing happens where folks, if we give them enough lead time, can sort of, especially now, sort of rearrange some of their travel plans, their life, what have you, to accommodate the changes. But what they happen on a split or they happen at that breaking point, they can't accommodate their lives to that change. So just making sure that as things happen like that, we're doing the right job from a commission standpoint, but also making sure that us as commissioners know that it's happening. So we, as most of us are elected officials, we get those out to our constituencies as well.
We had this conversation at VRA. The tendency is we're working on it, which goes nowhere. People don't want to hear it because there's no end game to anything else. So I'm glad you're doing this, and it's a great presentation. And I know we posted on this, we have VRES magazines and everything else like that. Do we have an active outreach to the local press where we can sit there and say, guys, this is what's going on? This is what, and we certainly can. I think, frankly, we should be doing a lot more. I mean, whenever I have a big issue, I sit down with our local reporter, I sit down with a local radio station, I sit down with whoever I need to sit down to get, or I write something, and then put it in the op-ed or something like that. But it's something that neither VRE and that's why I was asking the question, that we do a lot with an outreach to the local press.
Yeah. I think that the idea, the suggestion you have there, sort of reaching out to the press, is a good way to go in this particular situation. I mean, this is a pretty universal situation that we have right now. And Virginia is not in the best of position overall in terms of a whole host of different issues that we have encountered. We've lost about 3.5% of the population that was in the workforce 2.5 years ago that is not there now. And so what we're seeing is that we've got from about 65% down to less than 62% in terms of those the percent of adults 25 and older who are participating in either working or seeking a job. And in reality, I mean, obviously, you see all around that there are huge vacancy rates in terms of positions pretty much across the board. The community services boards, which do the mental health services and substance abuse care in Virginia, they do most of that. There are 40 of them around the state. 31% vacancy rate is what they're encountering right now. So you have people who show up, they're needing those services, and it's not that we didn't plan for those numbers of people. We just don't have them there right now. You look at a lot of the local governments, many of them are running into major problems. At the state level, just in the past year, we've had almost a 10 percentage point increase in terms of vacancy rates at state government positions. Some of the ones like correctional officers, those are seeing real significant issues. And they got jobs where you've got to have someone there. And I think that the public is getting sensitized to the fact that pretty much everywhere you look, you have these types of situations. And I think that what you can do by reaching out to the media is be able to say, we have this problem, but here's how we're working on it. And to talk about how you're going to methodically build back the confidence on that type of thing. And actually overall in Virginia, we're only down we have about a 2.5% unemployment rate, which is extraordinarily low and much lower than the national rate. It means that everybody who wants a job has been pretty much able to get it.
I want to build on what Mark said really quickly. When you do outreach, one of the biggest problems I have is we have a tendency to want to tell our constituents and our people the best type of news that we can. I like to call it, we like to send out the rainbows and unicorns. And that just absolutely builds up the frustration. It's better to say, listen, we're working on it. We hope to be ready. When I talk to staff, I said, hey, I'm busy for another week. We're not gonna be able to get this for 2 weeks. And I said, I don't care. Call them up and tell them it's gonna take 2 weeks, but damn it, you better have it done in 2 weeks.
Right.
But don't be unrealistic and say, oh, we're gonna do everything we can to get it done next week. And it's just not gonna happen. That really causes problems.
And you can use that as a way to, in effect, reach out to people who might be willing to take those positions where you got bus drivers, because they may not know that there's any problem.
And to that end, well, part of the staff and I had a bit of a postmortem earlier in the week, and part of the conversation was the optimism that we thought we could get the training done, the belief, the dedication, the commitment, the desire to be great overshadowed maybe the sense of where we actually were. So that's part of the conversation that Barbara and I had. We had a Chiefs meeting, which Phil is Chief Financial Officer, Joe States, be Chief Development, Barbara, in essence, Chief Operating Officer, and I, and that was part of the conversation. We thought the belief in our staff and the belief in our system to overcome things might have been a little too rainbow and unicorn in-house. And that maybe there were some things that we didn't pay attention to. So we're going to do better on that end of things to make sure we have better reality doses and maybe have some checks and triggers built into the system so that we don't hit breaking points, that we can say 2 weeks, 3 weeks ahead of time, hey, we're going to hit a breaking point. This is what we're going to do to fall back and give that preparation as you described. Exactly.
I think I'd like to recommend that commissioners of the backup bus drivers.
Drive that bus.
Your motion.
It's the only way we get down the bus. I'm sorry, I had to bring all of y'all in there with me. Okay,
We all going down here.
yes, she's gonna say something. Commissioner Short, yes.
Okay, are we looking at what opportunities we have to get folks from the Pentagon into DC, like Uber, Lyft, other type vouchers other than the Metro? Because what I'm concerned about is people that's just getting there and they gotta walk.
No, so
Are we looking
from
at
Pentagon,
opportunities?
we have Blue Line access. There's also the Yellow Line shuttles into DC, which operate, I think it's on the second platform or a platform above. So there are ways into DC through Metro. We're on half fare right now. So it's not a tremendous penalty to travel. It's more of a time issue in that you have to take more than one seat to get there. I am anticipating that within the next 7 to 10 days, we will probably have some service back into DC. And part of what we'll be able to do is tie those together so that, and this is a for instance, so just bear with, if we've got Horner Road service in to DC, it may still loop through the Pentagon, so we can pull other routes and pull people in together and get them into DC. The operations team is working on it. If you get too creative with the solution, you get too clever. You're far too clever by half. And that's part of what we've got. The drivers know what they're doing going in and out of the Pentagon. It's got the resources, but we're confident that we'll be back into DC within the next 7 to 10 days, if not sooner.
And if I could just say this here, because I'm 54 years old.
Really?
And I don't I don't go into LaFont Plaza, man. That whole thing is a nightmare, trying to figure out to be a grown man and don't take that Metro. I don't go past the Pentagon into that city. That is a mess. But I imagine this, folks that like the bus to go in and don't take that Metro, they don't take it for a reason, because it is a nightmare down there, and people, whether it's back to normal now, this is, I'm talking, of course, 2017, but that's a lot of stuff going on down there. If you don't like that kind of interaction, and it's so busy, folks don't want to be involved in that. So we can talk about that little 20 minutes and they can get this train and go there, but the reality is that person that can't ride that bus and literally got off right in front of where they work, they don't want to get on that Metro at all. You know, I'm just telling you, go anywhere near the Flint Plaza, and that's just like a nightmare scenario. So, you know, I just say that because I can understand the frustration of the folks that we say, just take the Metro in.
And you layer on top all the pedestrian antics.
Yeah.
I'm from New York City, so.
Okay.
And unless you have something spectacular to add.
You know, I don't want to get that hook from him, so I'll just.
Are you okay? You did?
But he
Okay.
does have something spectacular.
The Christmas party is December 10th, in Dumfries. We have flyers out. We'd love you to come. The menu will include salad, chicken and gravy, beef tips, mac and cheese, squash, and non-alcoholic beverages unless you're buying. So I hope to see you there on December 10th. Well, I did have one other thing I wanted to talk about. We've had a change at Keolis at the top. Many of you met Aileen Franson, was the CEO. She has decided to go back to Australia, although she was French. She spent most of her career in Australia. So her predecessor is coming back, Steve Shaw, to be COO. And I talked with him today. And he says he's planning to visit us in February. So I'll make sure you all get to meet him.
And I've known Steve for geez, what is it, 15 years. He and I were together in Chicago the night President Obama won. So we were there for a conference. So he and I shared a unique memory in that. But he's an outstanding, his background is operations safety. He's from Baltimore, so he knows this region very, very well. He's not someone coming in from California or from Europe. He knows the DMV, has overseen contracts in this area, and he and I worked for the same company for a number of years. So I've got some experience with him.
Well, think so. All right, we have no presentations tonight. We got one action item. Can I get a motion to approve the 2023 Potomac Rappahannock Transportation Commission legislative agenda? All right, Commissioner Allen, we have a motion, Commissioner.
No, I was just trying to figure out who.
Commissioner Allen and Commissioner Frazier. I think you got the second. Got the second. Okay.
Quick question.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I was reading this and kind of going to sleep, trying to cover everything and not focused on anything. Sorry. I'm going to support it, but I just found it interesting that we continue to use, we want to maintain the level of funding and services and protect and everything else like this. Prior to COVID, even VDOT came out and said, building roads isn't going to do it. We've got to change the way we do things. I just had a FAMPO board meeting where we looked at projects that would help move traffic by roads, which is about 10 times, 15 times the amount of money that can be allocated for that. Everybody's acknowledging that transit is the way of the future to move things. So one, why do we keep using the word maintain? Two, we all know that the current funding formula and system of funding is archaic and is definitely not keeping up with times. Why aren't we talking about, is it time to look at and revamp how we handle transportation and transportation funding instead of just saying we want to maintain where we are? But that's might be a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, just changing that one word in the way that we write that could be very helpful.
And go ahead.
I was going to ask is the suggestion to use the word increase, because that would be the best alternative.
Look to it or look to plan or something. But it's just,
Enhance, improve, invest.
you know, frankly, if we don't change the way we do transportation, we are screwed. Excuse me. Boy.
And can, because, you know, I'm sorry, Ms. Pandat, but I see your head down there.
No, I'm agreeing.
And so my question, when you're agreeing, is that something we can change? I know we're here to, can we add that now prior to approving it? And is that
Just direct me to modify language accordingly.
So you want to? Yes, can you, so she has the draft language here. Matt,
I
she
would
has-
say we just change the
So
language to be a little bit more.
My guess is it's multiple places, so
Multiple
just,
places.
I'll change the verbiage where it becomes protectionist to a little more focus on enhanced.
And I think we need to talk about changing the, I mean,
Yeah.
we just talked about getting hundreds of millions of dollars from the feds, but we're all cramming it into the same formulas, which have failed us in the last 20 years anyway.
Yes.
Well, I think part of it is that we all support, or at least I think we all probably support multimodal transportation system. And what will work for, say, for example, Arlington and Alexandria will not work for Manassas and Manassas Park or the farther west areas of Prince William County and Loudoun. So all of our needs are different.
I agree with you that, but the fact of the matter is, there's no question that just building more roads, which are going to be clogged up within 2 to 3 years, is not the long-term solution for anybody. And a lot of it has to do with us, land use plan, how we plan it, how we do roads and stuff like that. But-
I just don't think we can stop building roads. I mean, I
Oh,
understand.
no, you're going to keep doing it. I just want to know if there's a chance to shift the emphasis a little bit more to the transit side. I mean, you always got to do it. I would rather we do a better job prioritizing roads. I think Smart Scale is great that it funds things, but from a planning perspective, it's still pretty bad what's getting funded.
Commissioner Garrett.
Yeah, we can kind of, sorry, discussion here. I was looking at this, to change maintain to enhance. Is that preferable word, maybe enhance? Are we good with that?
Enhance. Are we good with enhance? Enhance going once, enhance going twice, enhance. Enhance, okay. All right, so we're gonna make a modification throughout the document to change the language to enhance where it says
Can we put
maintain?
some line in there that says to work with our elected officials to at least reevaluate our current funding formulas? In that regard to enhance, 'cause that comes into enhance too. But
Goes
I just
back
would
to
like to look at
11
the
this.
process, 'cause the process is really screwed
No,
up.
the whole work group. I mean.
Yes, I think. Okay,
We'll find the appropriate part in the document.
and so this will come back to,
We have-
this will
we
just
have-
go up?
We have to pass it out on Monday morning. so-
Okay, so we will just, so this will be updated.
Yeah.
You can just send us a copy,
And I'll-
email it.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
clean this up and we'll ship out the copy, hopefully
Okay.
by tomorrow afternoon, along with the PowerPoint
I
and
mean,
some
that
other
can
documents.
change the document, it just. adds
Yeah,
something
just add some
more
more
clear.
Okay, so I'll go with that.
Yep.
Okay, that's no, there's that motion on that. Yeah, we have a motion. Okay, we
We
got,
have a motion.
is that discussion? Oh, we got, that's right, we are in discussion.
That's just a
Just a
question.
question. Could you flesh out the concept of high intensity motor bus services?
I did a little bit in a couple sentences, the revised version. Was
Oh,
not
okay.
clear enough?
I must have the
Okay,
other version. Okay.
so I just beefed it up a little bit to explain HOD
Yeah.
versus HOD.
Okay, thank you.
So the motion is to approve this with the amendments, the friendly amendments addition that we've got those documented. So, okay, we're good?
Could you reiterate the amendment?
So we'll exchange the word enhance, maintain for enhance, but specifically quote, work with elected officials to reevaluate funding formula or similar, but I have to reevaluate. And we'll find where that fits appropriately in the document. And we'll have our marketing department review that as well as our finance.
It would seem to me that reevaluate implies change, perhaps assess would be a better word.
Oh, we're beyond assessing. We're way beyond assessing if you really look at transportation the way it is now.
I'm sorry,
We're beyond assessing. We are so far behind where we should be in transportation with regards to funding, and how we're going to fund it in the future, which we still haven't addressed. And we're still in an archaic system of trying to fund transportation. And we're still plugging it into channels that are no longer serving what we need to do. I mean, I've been serving in transportation board since 2000, basically 2002. And it's just amazing. We start down this road about, everybody acknowledges we need to change, and then we start down for a year or two, and then it just falls away. Then we start again, and we start again. Here we are at 2022. For me, this has been like an 18-year odyssey. So we're beyond assessing. I don't know if some of Barbara wants to comment on that.
All right, okay,
Yes, you're right.
all right. So we're good with that. All right. How do we vote? Yep,
There is a motion on the floor.
yes, ma'am.
Ms. Sharon.
Yes.
I would not describe it, but I'm gonna vote against this. I'm not comfortable with everything in here. I think that we need to focus on getting more people to use public transit before we, lobby for more funding in place and shifting revenues and whatnot. So I'm still disappointed in public transit ridership. I was disappointed before the pandemic. I'm even more now.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay, we got a motion on the floor with friendly amendments. The second it, please call for the vote.
Victor Angry,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Mossman. No. Yesley Vega,
No.
Kim Short. Tanisha Allen.
Yes.
Pamela Sabeski.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Monica Gary.
Yes.
Jeanette Rishel.
Yes.
Matthew Kelly.
Yes.
Deborah Frazier. Aye. Todd Horsley.
I need to abstain, please.
Elizabeth Guzman.
Yes.
George Barker.
Yes.
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 All right, giving it to Chairman's sign. Zero emission bus workshop incentive plan for February 2020. With the voice? Yeah, okay, she's out. Tentatively planned for February 2023. Finance workshop was postponed from last month and will be rescheduled. Don't have an exact date yet. We'll get back with you on that. And the nominating committee reminder, the nominating committee needs to provide Christine with the proposed slate of PRTC officers and BRE operations board members and alternates by January 3rd. All right, Commissioner's time. Any comments?
We'll go around.
Santa will be coming to Manassas tomorrow by VRE to light the tree, and the 76th annual Manassas Christmas Parade will be on Saturday morning. Come on, come on. Happy holiday, everyone. Time for the tree lighting in Santa's around 6, and the parade starts at 10 a.m. on Saturday, in the middle of the rain. 90%. Yeah.
First of all, happy holidays to everyone. Thank you guys, PRTC staff, and to the community for supporting SERVE during the holidays, Thanksgiving. You're still accepting donations for the Christmas holiday, so please give if you can. But it was a tremendous success. A lot of families were able to have meals, so we're very thankful for that, Commissioner Gary and I. So thank you for that. And I really hope that we can get something working with Humana to allow for some type of pipeline workforce to be fill some of these vacancies.
Bob, I didn't look, I didn't see the report, the draft report on electric buses.
Did not attach the document. I'll send it out.
Yeah, so I went back and looked and it just had the PowerPoints and stuff. I
Okay,
didn't see.
I thought I dragged it over.
All right.
Just want to say happy holidays, everyone. I appreciate Dr. Snyder and our friends at Keolis for working through these challenges. I know is beyond your control. It's a national issue. We have issues all across different sectors of public, private. Everyone's having problems hiring and retaining people. So I acknowledge that, but I really appreciate your collaboration, your ability to communicate with us so we can communicate our constituents on how we can best address these issues. Thank you so much.
First of all, I'm sorry that I was running late. I did not plan accordingly for a different location tonight. I'm so glad I got here at the time. So thank you for being patient with me on that. And thank you to people who are struggling right now with the systems and everything for being patient as well. Thank you to all of you working hard to get things moving properly. I know that you care, and that means a lot. I know that you'll continue to work at it. Happy holidays to everyone. We have our second annual Christmas tree lighting coming up tomorrow, 5 o'clock. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Yeah,
so we
5 to
start
7.
at 5 to 7.
7:30, something like that.
We brought in a treat, so if you want to come out and hang out with us, there's carriage rides and all kinds of things. So you're welcome to come. It'll be at our government center.
There'll be no libation.
No libation. No. You have to pray before you come, but don't go too hard if you get a drive. Anyways, you guys are all welcome to come out. So it's good to see you all. I just want to thank Christine because you are always on top of everything.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Earlier this fall, I had, or in the summer, I had a friend pass away in July and had to go to Pittsburgh for her memorial service, which fell on the night of this. And then I get this really nice card, in the mail a few weeks later, and it's from Christine, a sympathy card. And I just was really touched by that. So I'm excited about Christmas, but I'm still on Thanksgiving. and I just wanted to thank you. Thank you.
Well, happy holidays, everyone. Please have lots of love for your family and friends. And I tell you, Thanksgiving, we kind of used it. It's still there. It was a good one this year. And I think more people were focused on loving each other and appreciating one another. I think we need to do a little bit more of that. So I have to say that to Christine too. She lets me call her whenever, however. And so thank you for that. And for the team, I mean, it matters that we care about those people that working. So continue to do that. We'll get through this. We will get through this. And ma'am, we're going to get you a ride. One way or the other. We're going to get you where you need to be. So happy holidays, everyone. Enjoy.
Happy holidays, everyone.
I'll just wrap up a little bit to follow up on the comments when we were looking at the legislative thing. We have some challenges at the state level, but we also have a lot of resources, and I think we can help to begin to address some of these issues and challenges that are around, particularly the northern area and the Fredericksburg area. We've had some room construction. We just opened up this week the extension of 66 with specific lanes in both directions, bi-directional. So but it's not like it is on 95. It's only we don't have the space for the project. We ought to do that there. But we also are seeing a lot of increase in terms of utilization of transit. And we're getting that from around the state, and a lot of the different jurisdictions are seeing the same types of increases in membership. It's certainly not where it was in 2020, but it's starting to really increase significantly. I've been working, talking with somewhat with the Secretary of Transportation, since I chair the Transportation Subcommittee of the Finance Committee. And I think that during this coming year, we have an opportunity to really provide input and see if we can do a consensus in terms of how we can fund these types of things. And I didn't say this right now, but starting 1 month from today, there will be a reduction in monies available for transportation services because the Half County has been put on the sales tax back in 2013. Where a huge investment in increase in transportation is being eliminated for the groceries. There will be still 1% increase, 1% sales tax for groceries, and that's because that penny goes directly, that 1% goes directly to the local governments without any strings attached. And so that will, we were successful in holding on and making sure that we maintain that support for the locality, because the localities in aggregate are clearly nowhere near in as good a shape as we are at the state level because of the difference in how what the resources and the taxes are that are paid there. We get income tax, we get corporate income tax, we get sales tax, and those aren't controlled with the local government. So we're trying to maintain the ability for them to for you all to be able to provide services there. And also, I think that in terms of how we change the formulas is clearly something that we need to do long term. We did in 2020 we passed a major transportation bill in 1986, which we didn't have much to do with transportation. Then another one in 2013, and one in 2020. So we at least it went from 27 years, only 7 years to get another one this time. But we still have some shortages. And one of the things was when we did an adjustment of the funding of all the transit systems around the state. We added some resources into it, but also in terms of the equity position, what I think was the most salient point in terms of making it very difficult for the jurisdictions in places like PRTC, both in Fredericksburg area as well as in the Prince William, Manassas Park area. We did not get our share of that money. And what really impeded that was that when we put language in the budget to have the study done on things in 2018, we said, we need to look at a wide variety of things, like what the positive impacts that transit systems are having. You can make sure that you're providing the resources to those systems that are actually making a difference in people's lives. And what generally you look at in those situations that people are involved in it, you look at things like the passenger miles traveled. We have by far the longest passenger mile travel trips of any system in the Commonwealth, other than BRE. And so BRE was rated very low. Unnecessarily low, and PRTC is in the same situation. There was an adjustment made for PRTC for VRE because it was a rail system and therefore it could be segregated out. And so we did take care of that. But what the impact in terms of and Prince William and so we're getting and the Stafford area. Options there. There's something that provides us a huge impact upon the number of vehicles and that you have on 95 and certainly 5 together. And until we address that, it's going to remain a very significant problem. So we need to do those types of things. I am, and I'm also going to talk with the new CEO at Metro. In terms of how we're going, so that we have a comprehensive plan that we can develop and try to keep everybody involved and aware of what we're doing as we move through this system. And we got a short session this year, so we should be out of it in February, which I think we will. And then we have a lot of time during the year to really put our efforts together to be able to continue to not just maintain, but enhance what we're doing.
So just one question, one request, don't use our money again.
Yeah.
Sure, just very quickly agree with everything Senator Barker said. The bottom line is we need more resources from the state and the feds for public transportation. That's really what it comes down to. Just want to make a plug that Prince William County, I think we are planning to have our annual legislative dinner with our state delegates and senators. Hope you all can join. Hope Delegate Guzman can join because I think we all plan to push our legislators for more resources on a local level, particularly as it relates to transportation. So just want to put a plug for that.
That's Tuesday night.
Yes. Tuesday night. I'll be there.
Thanks to staff. Oh, is my staff, okay. I want to thank the staff of the PRTC so much for planning the chamber event. The food was great. Thank you, Christine. It was wonderful. Manassas Park will be having our usual holiday light parade on Saturday evening. It starts at 5:45. We will again be upsetting drivers by stopping traffic on Route 28. So if you plan to attend, please be in place by 5:15 to watch the parade. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays.
Christine never likes the limelight. She celebrates 20 years tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Did it at the end. Sorry.
Yeah. Happy holidays, everybody. I'm going to task you all with something. I know we've been talking a lot about here, budgets, transportation, the needs. I'm going to task you that right now we have an opportunity to take advantage of. And that is, we know our bus drivers, we have a shortage. We have drivers on the road right now. I want you to find a bus driver and thank that bus driver for what they do, because a little bit of positive encouragement goes a long way. I'll tell you that. So tomorrow, don't do a SWAT stop and put in front of the bus. But what I am saying is when you have the opportunity, just thank one of our bus drivers for the purposes of this commission, because this is what we're here to do. And I think you would actually make their holiday season. So again, happy holidays. I'm gonna end it there. We're gonna adjourn at 8:45. Motion to adjourn. Second. Okay, we got a motion. Probably second. All in favor? Aye. All right, we're adjourned. And thank you. We can talk to you now. Let's get it.
Oh, I am. Much warmer weather than it is here. I know. Big jacket.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
It's North South.